Hey y'all, and welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to be looking at a model game that I played a little bit ago, where I ended up in a very good attack, and I kind of demonstrated how to use the attack to, well, do what the title says, to get a very strong advantage. Until, of course, the time trouble where the quality of play goes down. But let's just get into it. So we're going to do the opening pretty quickly. D4, D5, bishop F4, knight F6, E3. My opponent decides to play this very awkward, strange move, knight B to D7, which basically means that my opponent is going to be a little bit more passive this game, and is not going to play for C5, because when you're playing for C5 with black, mostly the idea is to go for knight C6 after. I simply play C4 now because I know my opponent isn't going to play C5. My opponent goes C6, knight C3, E6, knight F3, bishop E7, and I play the move rook to C1. Very good stuff here. There's already some threats, like here there might be some problems with the queen being trapped over here with the rook pointing down, and black could get into some serious problems pretty quickly. Here, after rook c1, my opponent plays a6, which is a pretty good move. The idea is, in some lines, you want to take here, do this and play b5. I didn't really believe in this idea. I didn't think that that was a really main idea, but I thought that the main idea of this was, in fact, to stop, like, after takes, and he takes back like this. I'm not able to play this move anymore, which I'd be able to originally because that would trap the queen. Let's just show this. If my opponent goes here, then his queen would be trapped. Somehow I am losing in this position. No idea why, but because of check. Yeah, check here, and the queen is untrapped. That's a little bit interesting. I didn't see that, but I thought that that was probably his idea, and maybe just prevent that in the future. But a6 happens. I go with the move a3 after a long period of thought, mostly because I thought that in some lines he can play the move queen a5 after I go here, so I wanted to be able to play b5 in all lines, and there might be some tactical threats in the future. My opponent goes knight h5, I go bishop e5, saying that if you capture here, I'm going to take back with the knight, hit your knight, maybe force you to play g6, and then we get into some interesting lines here. I can probably play something like g4 already, and like as you can see, the computer kind of likes this, and white already has a pretty strong initiative. But instead of that, my opponent goes f6, bishop g3, knight g3, hg3, and my opponent gives me a very strong attack here with the move d takes on c4. And this is the start of what you're here for. D takes c4 is not a good move. D takes c4 is just not a good move. His idea, of course, was that to play b5, but he simply misses that after bishop takes c4, with the inclusion of bishop e5 and f6, now this pawn is under attack, and you can't do anything with that. So I'm already a lot better, and after the move knight b6, I go bishop d3, and I have pressure on this pawn. And now the attack begins. f5 is the only move for my opponent. In my opinion, the only move for my opponent. The computer's even saying crazy stuff like king d7, but we can all agree that this is not good if you have to play king d7. So f5 made the most sense to me, opening up the dark sword bishop, blocking my bishop, but there's already issues, and I'm able to play e4 very quickly here, but I thought that I would just play normal stuff. I would play knight e5, very good move, just putting my knight into the center, targeting everything. It's where the knight wants to be in the first place, so why not put it there. Castles and queen h5. And after the move h6, as you can see, I have 4 pieces pointing down at the black king, and I have a very strong attack. Now, there is no actual breakthrough. There is no actual breakthrough. If my opponent blunders, of course there's a breakthrough, but my opponent's not going to do that. He's 2100. He knows better than to like hang pieces or like hang a winning advantage. So I have to be a little bit tricky about this, and I have to realize that at the end of the day, the attack isn't there. I go with the move g4, which I thought was just pretty natural. Putting pressure over here, you obviously can't take because queen g6, and there's an unstoppable checkmate on the black king. I have stuff like rook here. I'm threatening mate in 1. There's nothing my opponent can do. So that would be, of course, winning for white. So I thought g4 was very, very interesting, and my opponent surprised me here by playing this very nice move, bishop to f6. Very, very decent idea. Obviously, if I do nothing, he's going to play here, and I'm going to be losing because after here, I would be losing a piece. I'm actually not losing because I have like a lot of counterplay. This attack is very, very strong. Even if I lose my pieces, it's a very, very powerful attack, but it's not something that you want to get into. So I don't want to do anything like that. Instead, I think for a while. I'm debating like taking this pawn in some lines, moving my knight up here. Maybe I can even move my knight back in some lines. I'm trying to put the knight here, maybe even king e2. There's a ton of possibilities, but at the end of the day, I just put my knight on g6, hit the rook, force rook f7, and I think about it for a while. I didn't think I could play this move. This is the move that I played in the game. I thought that maybe what like a future plan would be is to play like knight e2 and eventually like bring the knight up. I don't actually know why I didn't play this. I probably should have, but at the end of the day, g takes f5 is the move. And I was thinking about all sorts of sacrifices on here. Like this move is a little bit scary. It doesn't work right now, but it could work in the future if I'm a little bit not careful. So I have to be a little bit careful. G takes f5. My opponent goes e takes f5. Still blocking this. I can't take this pawn. Let's be correct here. I can't take this pawn because after queen h5, queen takes f5, there's a bishop takes d4, discovered attack on the queen. We got to be careful for tactics, obviously. And that would be like, I would still be better, I think, but I mean, nothing special. So we don't want to do that. Instead, after e takes f5, I simply play my idea, which is the move knight to e2. And now, my plan is very simple. I'm going to bring my knight over here. I'm going to target this pawn. I'm going to try to win this pawn. And at the end of the day, I'm going to bring my rook around and I'm just going to swarm as king. I'm going to have this huge attack and hopefully win the game. My opponent goes knight d5. Interesting move. He's trying to like get the knight to stop this move. Maybe he's trying to, I don't actually know what he's trying to do here, in all honesty. It doesn't seem good. Maybe he's trying to do this move and get my knight out of this square, but it doesn't look too right. I think here for a little bit, and what I do here is honestly very, very instructive. At least I think. It might not be the best, but it's very instructive. I switch up my plan. Now I don't target the king anymore. My goal is now focused on the center. I play the move bishop to c4, which is not the best move, but it's still correct. What I can do here is simply play knight ef4. My opponent can, like, I don't know, I take back with the knight. It looks like there's like a sacrifice here because of this, but there's not actually because of bishop c4 winning the rook, and I would be winning. I didn't see that actually. I thought the sacrifice worked. So I played bishop c4, which is a nice move. Now the knight can't move due to the attack on the rook, and if my opponent goes here, well, then I'm going to be able to have some play, I thought, and at the very least, I'm going to be able to do something maybe with this pawn, maybe with something else in the position, but I just thought that this was not good. My opponent ends up going b5, and I realize here that I'm already doing very, very well, and I don't have to play about the attack anymore. I don't have to play with the attack anymore. What I can play with instead is the fact that my opponent has really weakened their structure. Now this pawn is a huge weakness, and not to mention, I can take here, like this is a line, like this is playable, but after queen d5, knight ef4, let's say queen b3, I mean, this isn't exactly what you want. Here I have to castle, here, like I get the attack, right? Like I'm still winning, but it's a little bit dicey now. Like this isn't anything, and I can do this a lot better by not taking the knight and instead just bring my bishop back, which is very, very smart. I'm of course very, very smart because I played it. No, it's very, very smart because the idea is that in some lines I want to go bishop b1 and target this pawn and not let my opponent have any rest, which is very, very good. You have to target on all sides of the board during your attack if you want to be able to convert it to a winning position. My opponent goes queen d6, and I realized I can just keep targeting him. Knight gf4 I thought was a really nice move. Better than knight ef4. I do not actually remember why it's better than knight ef4, but I remember liking knight gf4 better. It's what I played. It's technically a better move than the engine thinks it's a better move. I don't even know. My opponent goes bishop to g5, and actually here I'm completely winning if I find a very nice tactic. However, the issue with this position isn't the position at all. The issue with this position is the clocks, and I have 2 minutes and 15 seconds on the clock. I play one move that is still good. It's still good here. I play one pretty decent move that turns my advantage from attacking position into a positional position. This move is still instructive if it wasn't for the tactic. The move that I played is knight takes d5. And I thought what this did is after c takes d5, I immediately have a target. This pawn becomes a huge issue. My opponent moves the rook. There are probably even like some ways to checkmate the king already, with some bishop coming back, or maybe not checkmate, but a very strong attack. Again, we get more attacks on top of attacks, but I thought that I was doing very well here after rook c5. I'm targeting the pawn. I didn't think my opponent could really do anything about it. Bishop e6 is a nice move. But here I do... Here, actually, I could have just won the game. Almost already I could have won the game. I could simply play the move knight c3, and this pawn is actually unguardable. Because after like a move like this, I can simply take. Which I didn't even realize. Because this, we have a fork of the king and the rook over here. And if he's going to bring the other rook to defend, I didn't realize this either, I can take again, because now the rook is pinned. This is a little bit more easy to find, but I didn't see the fork of the rook and the king like that. I didn't see this line. I thought that I just wasn't able to break through, but that's just a syndrome of time pressure, and it's just not... The rest of the game is not the highest quality, but we're going to stick around. We still have a couple more moves to play, and a little bit of interesting stuff goes on. I play the move f4, which made sense to me, kicking the bishop back. Now this becomes a huge hole here. I'm still playing positionally, but I'm playing much worse than I would originally. Like, if I had more time, I would have probably found knight c3, but instead f4. Bishop e7 is a good move. I castle here, completely abandoning the attack. The idea is now solely based on this pawn and positional play, and white is still better, but not by much. My opponent goes queen d7, I bring my rook back to c2, and it's kind of a frenzy here. I go knight c3, bring my bishop back to b1. I'm still playing well. Like, my moves aren't bad, but of course not at the level we have. We have the bishop targeting this pawn in the future. g4 is my main idea, trying to get in like this. My opponent goes bishop f7, queen h3, b4, takes, rook cf2. I really do want to play g4 at some point, but I can't because this queen is targeting down, so that would be losing a pawn. Bishop g6, knight e2, and here I could play one thing to gain a huge advantage, which is this move knight c1. With the idea to come up here. That's a very nice move. I didn't see it during the game because I was playing very quickly. I played this move in 3 seconds. Bishop a2. I go g4 now because the queen moved off of her post. I was attacking this pawn. That's why she had to move. Takes. Bishop f5. Queen g3 is a mistake, but of course we're all making mistakes now. We're under a minute. King h2. This reroute here, he decides to take, and then for some ungodly reason in this position, I'm better, of course, because this pawn is going to be lost in the long run, because up here I have moves like e4, and you can't take because of the pin on the king, which would be very nice. And I was looking at e4, so I would have probably won this game anyway, but instead of doing that, my opponent goes rook d8, f5 I play, because I'm trying to bring my rook in. I'm trying to go f6 and rook here. A little bit of an interesting idea, but my opponent just hangs a bishop, so... yeah, we end the game pretty easily here. My opponent has more time than me and have to play really, really fast, but I'm a decent blitz player, and I can do that. Rook f5, takes, and at the end of the day, I pick up all the pawns. I'm careful not to stalemate my opponent. I realized that I didn't get the mate right away. Like this is a mate in 1, but I didn't see it because of low time, of course. So I just pre-move this and am able to checkmate my opponent, which is nice. But of course, the main allure of this game is, and the reason, sorry, and the, how do I like get my words going here? And the theme and what you can learn from this game is really the fact that in your attack, you can give up on the attack. Like, you can turn your attack into something more positional in the long run. Like, this attack is strong. The attack that I had back here after queen g6 is very, very strong. Not in this position. In this position is very, very strong. It's a very strong attack. But you see how I was able to turn it into... I have to, like, click on every move since I played so many variations. But you see how I'm able to, like, turn it into, like, a more positional play here? Of course, here the tactic would be, but after knight d5, this is a more, like, positional game now. And only white is better here because of what I did with my strong attack. If it wasn't for my strong attack, I wouldn't be able to get any of this. And it's just incredible how much like an attack can do and how much checkmate really isn't the only answer to an attack. Or checkmate or winning material really isn't the only answer to an attack. You can also get very good positional bonuses here. Here we're equal on material and black has the bishop pair, but I'm winning, which is really nice. But anyway, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found this entertaining, instructive, all of the above. If you did, remember to like, subscribe, do all the normal things YouTubers tell you to do. And yeah, that's it. Good evening and good night.